working for the market, right? We are working for the market in some way. So
Hmm.
now, so what someone should do, right, in a way, right? And we discussed that. I mean, there are people have to take care of their responsibilities, their shelter, their food, their clothes, and so on. And for that purpose, we have been working the way we have been working, right? And of course, we cannot switch in kind of day one, like today we want to discuss and just switch, right? So then
Hmm.
we discussed that there's going to be like slow, you pendulum kind of go slow and then come down, right? So just want to hear more of your thoughts or anybody else's thoughts also, right? Um, that how do we basically um uh, kind of make it minimum, right, in a way, right? And then of course we can't leave our work also, right? That is the case.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
it's a tough, and the more I read, the more I study, the more I listen, basically, right? I'm kind of becoming more and more kind of a say not so very calm per se, right? Because it's kind of gives a confusion state in the mind, and then where to go, what to do, correct? So
hmm.
currently, that is the state I am in right now.
Yeah. No, that's quite understandable. A lot of us have gone through it, are going through it. So I can
Mhm.
share an experience one of
Correct.
the earlier students faced in this. And, the kind of conversation he had with Nagraj, with Baba on this
Hmm.
very topic. But before that, I would also like, there's this thing that he used to say that, the first step out of, like you've already mentioned it actually, like the first step out of, if you're standing in a swamp, the first step out of the swamp will still be in the mud. So even your first step out is going to be in kichad, basically. So, and eventually, one step by one step, eventually you'll come out of it. But the initial few steps will still be very muddy and murky. So I think the state that we find ourselves on first hearing all of this and looking at things from this sort of a perspective is a state of, you start realizing that there are a lot more things to be dissatisfied about in life than we had initially maybe thought. So there is that phase initially. But then along with that, luckily there is also a way forward in the sense that, you know, we know what is dissatisfactory about our situation today, but we can also understand where we need to get to and also understand why we have not been able to get there till now. Like there have been so many efforts in humankind, in human society, that have tried to work towards a more just and harmonious economic system, but it has kept failing again and again. And in fact, the whole communist movement of I don't remember the years, basically up till the USSR and other such experiments, they were also, experiments for a more just and harmonious economic system because they could see the shortcomings of the one that we live in today by default, which is which has by default it has been capitalism. So the people have put in those efforts, but those efforts have not succeeded. So we can also try now with this perspective, we also have the ability to understand what was lacking over there. And what we realize, what I have at least come to realize is what always ends up being the shortfall, the shortcoming of any such economic experiment has been our inability to have confidence in ourselves and also trust in one another. So we have to fall back on like formal systems and mechanisms of basically, they're just mechanical do's, don'ts, systems, bureaucracy, and all these things. And these are easily manipulable. If we fall back from human empowerment and actual human engagement in good faith with one another, if we step away from that towards bureaucratic systems, then automatically that system will not last because any sort of justice relies on the trust between human beings, the trust between two human beings, and then a trust between a network of such human beings who all trust one another. That is when you can have a just system. And for that trust, we also need to have a shared basis of evaluation. Right now, what happens is often how I value something can vary very much from how you value that. And we have no real basis of, establishing what the actual worth of something is. So for that also, the worth of something is quite an important question. And it's actually a very large question. We can't judge the worth of a tree without understanding how it is contributing to each human being and the planet. Like right now, value of nations is calculated in their income, by their income. So a forest is much less valuable than the same area of forested land that has been cut up and used for timber. um, you know, but that is, of course, the extremes that we have reached, where a living tree is worthless compared to one that has been chopped down and utilized as raw material. That is, of course, an extreme. But even on a very on a less extreme basis, if you and I, in good faith, with good intentions, were to try to establish what the actual worth of any object were to be, say some, a shirt made of cotton, it would be very difficult unless you and I agreed on human purpose, on universal human collective purpose, because it all connects to that. So that is the journey of those connections, is what we have to undertake, of understanding all of these connections, so that then we can all be on the same page of understanding value. And the most important value to be understood is the value of human beings. In the context of that, we can understand all other values also. So again, I mean, that is the theoretical part of why these systems have not worked out till now. So that tells us what we need to work on so that they don't fail again. And of course, we can't leave our jobs or whatever we are doing at the drop of a hat. But again, this is something, this is a conversation someone like Rakesh Gupta ji, he's someone who lives in Bangalore, in fact. He had with Nagraj ji. He is an old student of Madhya Darshan. He's the one who has undertaken the project of translating all the books also.
Okay.
So he had asked Baba, and Baba had said, you don't have to change anything about your life to understand this. First, understand it, and then whatever you have understood will automatically lead you to come up with solutions for yourself, which are most manageable for your situation in particular, which are most sustainable for your situation. So he is not asking anyone to leave jobs or, buy a farm, start farming. If someone were to do that prematurely, then that would be very unsustainable, that would collapse, and that would hinder their journey of understanding. It would compromise that itself. So that's why I think primary focus should be on understanding what is needed, what is human, all these 3 points of what is existence, what is the Jeevan, and therefore what is the human being, and what is humane living. As much as you start understanding, you will start living accordingly, or finding ways to live according to that. Sorry, 1 second. Manjuji.
It's obvious when I'm doing something. It's obvious when I'm doing something, in a way that isn't towards harmony, isn't towards, being just in relationships, being sensitive to the environment. So when I'm doing those things, or my motivation, it's very clear. There's a very clear indication of that. So I just go there, and then if I'm not able to go in harmony, then why am I not able to go in harmony? So then you can explore that. Exploration is already in the right step, even if you haven't got there. So that's somehow what I use as a guide for myself.
Yeah, so I think a journey is something which is going to, of course, going to be, I think, yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable for me right now. But yeah, that is something which is happening right now. So sometimes, yeah, it's kind of very uncomfortable, to be honest. So I think that's one of the reasons kind of be here to at least share that discomfort. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think you can get going.
No, that was how it was for me also. I think when I was in college, we used to have, finally, this is Manjuji, and Manjuji, you've met Nipen. This is Sendil.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, Manjuji.
Hello.
She's
Hi,
also from Dehradun.
Okay.
She already built an earthen home.
Manjari, he's asking if you've also built an alternative home.
I have the second one and only home.
Oh,
But the
nice.
alternative in what way you mean?
Okay. No, but I mean, like, I see more of earth and blocks, less of like cement.
Not
Yeah.
the traditional looking one. It's
Yeah.
pretty, it's not all that different. It's exposed bricks and stone.
Okay.
But other than that, it's got a view cement, plastering.
Okay.
You're an architect.
Okay.
Are you an architect?
No. I design games.
Oh, lovely.
But we all just did a workshop at Anhad in Hyderabad where they do natural earth construction.
All right. Okay. Nice.
So, like Nitendra, when I was just saying, when I was in college, and part of it, like in my second year, I just felt it was so meaningless what I'm doing and spending so much time and energy in. The first year, at least, I felt like something worthwhile I was getting out of it. But second year, the papers were such, and the department seemed to be going in a weird direction. So I would feel like we used to have these Saturday meetings, and I felt like that was my, anchor to sanity. But it also helped me kind of bring meaning, kind of derive meaning from whatever was happening, even if, overall alone, I wouldn't have been able to find meaning in whatever I was engaged in. But then because we used to have these Saturday meetings, we used to sit together and for half the meeting, we would all just share whatever we have been dealing with or thinking about over the last 1 week. And then in the second half, we would do a reading of this. This workshop has been turned into a book, actually. So we would read some of that. So in that sharing and collective sharing and reading, it would allow us to kind of reflect on the same week in a more moderated and more balanced and more wholesome perspective. And then it wouldn't be as, it wouldn't bother you as much. In fact, you could get something valuable out of your everyday life also. And then figure out steps to improve it eventually, slowly.
I know, you are lucky you are doing it while you are still having to go into the future. Because now I live I'm padded with so much comfort. I don't have to go out. I don't have to achieve anything. I don't have deadline. So, and I don't have that many family and friends around to interact enough to know where I'm going. How the progress. Because if my mom was now, I would know if I'm progressing or not.
Yeah.
Or if my siblings were around, I would know. Has anything changed or is it still the same? I'm meeting you people are very well behaved.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, our regular engagements, our regular interactions with those who are not just our contacts, they're actually our relationships, whether it's our colleagues or family. That is where we actually can see the evidence of our growth. Yeah.
That's where the tests are.
Yeah.
Okay, you meet someone for 1 hour in the evening, you giggle and laugh, and that's okay. That's easy to handle. It's when they, scratch you the wrong way.
On a regular basis. Yeah. And then how can you overcome with people who you have to live with, who you have, there's a compulsion, you have to make it work with them. Even if it's your colleagues who are on a completely different journey or family members who are on a completely different journey, to figure that out or to want to figure that out, actually, because these are the kind of situations that drew me back in to want to understand better, actually.
Correct. That's the most important.
Whether or not I was able to do it immediately.
That is what made me also get into this. So if this is going to it's going to make me see what's happening there. I'll be,
Yeah.
And of course, by the time I came here to this point, I knew it is me I have to look at, not others.
Starts out with that. Yeah. Okay.
I'll just go off the video.
Should we, anything else to talk about, or should we go to the video then?
Please, let's continue. Let's carry on.
There's one more point, but I think we can take it.
No, that's okay.
So other question is, of course, as we kind of see, we cannot live alone in a way, right? So, for example, that I mean, we have to still work with the market per se, right? For example, you need to still pay the school fees, right? Or the college fees which you have to look after, right? And then where things are market driven in a way, right? And assuming that, I mean, we kind of we don't earn enough. I mean, in a way that, I mean, there is a way, the possibility that what your earning may drop, but it's still there, but it would drop to some extent, or it may be better. I don't know right now, right? But when you're kind of earning kind of drops, but the market still remains the same, right? Then there is going to be a conflict, right, in a way that how you're going to handle um, the expenses, and because those are required in a way. I'm not saying again to kind of uh, live in a kind of a say something which is more extravagant, but in a way that something which is required, right? So then in that case, do we basically um, reduce the standard of, let's say, school? I don't know. I'm just trying to put up through there, right? Like, or kind of society you kind of stay. I think you already mentioned that point last time. But I was trying to say that when there's a conflict between market and you, right? How do kind of that need to be handled, right? Because you may not be able to a situation where you can afford that part.
Yeah. So that is why we cannot escape the market. We can't just create an alternate niche for this sort of living, because humankind is living in a global society. Actually, we are affecting one another. Even if we ourselves were to take our children away into a different alternate school which we are running, which will be very helpful economically and for the children also, even then we are, in one way or the other, we are dependent on the market, and the market continues to affect us. If suddenly, because of the market forces, our government decides to build a special economic zone in our neighborhood, we can't do anything about it. Or there's so many things that can happen. So definitely in the long run, we are, even in this small decision of schooling to even the largest decision of where we live and how we live, we are connected to the market. So it would have to address, our long-term plans would have to address that. But in the short term, I would say we shouldn't, I mean, to change our standard of living when we are not ready for it. And by our, I mean not just you, but also our family. That is going to be an imposition which will not be accepted as easily by everyone, and it will have a reaction in some direction or the other. So in changing your life situation, these are things that you must consider seriously, because we are not individuals, we are living as family members. Even Baba was, when he had to, when he finished his sadhana and he had to go back to normal life and he wanted to live in a prosperous manner, he did his production in order to meet his needs in reference to the market situation of that time. He was working, he was producing, he was farming initially, then he started working as a Vaidya, an Ayurvedic doctor. And he would charge for his medicine, and he would charge based on the needs of his family and the production that he was doing. So, that is a whole avenue to explore on how we can manage our needs currently with the work that we are doing in tandem with the market, but while moving towards as much justice as possible as we can live out today. And of course, we'll move towards better and better and better systems. So it's a long journey, but we can't ignore the market. Like reducing the quality of school, if you do believe that the quality is being reduced, that will not be fair to you or your child or your partner, right? Because you believe that the quality is reduced. You should be moving towards a higher quality education, not a lower quality education, to do justice to your family. Whether that higher quality education is more expensive or not is a different question.
Of course, yeah.
Anyone else also, if you would like to add, because you had these decisions to think about.
I like the answer that you mentioned. Like the higher quality education, does it need to be expensive is something that we need to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, makes sense. Like if the change is not something very comforting for us, then let's not try to impose it on us or on others as well. Yeah. It might take some more time. Maybe it will happen some other time as well. So I think Ashok ji was saying, now when you want to practice on a like playground rather than a highway.
Yeah.
So these are challenging situations. So let's not touch upon those challenging areas. Let's look at areas where we can actually bring change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of looking at tough situations.
Yeah.
For you, the school education is being a tough situation. And let's not touch it. I invite you to look at other options where you can actually bring some changes. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, so what I'm getting is like I should not rush. I mean, anyone should not rush to take a decision, right? And take a small step, and then situations. I mean, in between situation is going to be challenging, which we have to come through. And I believe which conversing with each other, we can stay in course. That is what I'm kind of doing there, getting there.
Yeah. The first environment that changes is in the internal environment in yourself and also in your family.
Drishta, what is this question arising out of? What situation? Is someone changing a job or someone changing a place, or just generally?
So I think you can share, Nitendra.
Yeah, sure. So what I was coming through is that as I'm kind of reading more and kind of listening more of the lectures, right? Situation basically the currently we are in, right? It seems completely opposing, right? And then to reach to an extent where we kind of what you consider in the Vastha, right? In kind of in just there, right? The path is going to be not so kind of a straight, right? You need to kind of be in the mud and then come out of it, right? Something like that. So that's kind of curiosity or kind of anxiety is there right now. So in the situation, basically what you should be doing, right? That's one part of it, and second is of course uh, the market is there as it is, right? And then as we are trying to change, market is not changing right now. Correct. So how do we basically cross that path because there has to be a point where we change our course to kind of to the work, whatever we can do, and we can still be able to work with the market perfectly fine. But how do we handle that? So that was this discussion what I was trying to put forward.
All right, thank you.
One more thing I'd like to say is that, see, the market is as it is, and we want to be as unaffected by its random fluctuations as we can be. So what we can look at is the direction. The direction in which we are moving, all our decisions, are they oriented towards more dependency on the market or less dependency on the market? So that much we can keep in mind. So, if we're getting everything from this faceless market, then we are very, very dependent on whatever situations it is creating. Whereas if we start maybe relying on, if we find a network of people who are producing little things and we start sharing among ourselves, then to that extent, our reliance on the market goes down. As we have done actually a lot of friends in JV and a lot of other networks of people also around India. They have established this sort of network where everyone's doing, some sort of production, small or large. And then, they just share with one another. At least you can rely on one another. We will get good quality from them and they will get good quality from us. And something, whatever, that doesn't have to be immediate. Like in the sessions that were happening on, I think, Saturday and Tuesday, someone mentioned that actually the first step to good economics, even if you cannot produce well, is to consume well. So, you always have the choice on what you will consume and how you will consume it and delegate it and use it. We are constantly consuming. So the first start will be in our consumption rather than our production.
And of course, from whom do you consume also, right? So of course, basically, if you know that in the network or there is a shop which is there and they are directly getting from farmers, or if you can get from somebody who's doing it. So whom do you consume also would also makes a difference, I believe so.
Yeah, makes a difference. Each such decision makes a difference. Whether we choose to go to the big chain store or our local kirane wale shop, even that much makes a small difference.
Okay, I think we passed.
Okay. Okay, let's go back.
So I haven't done any homework, so that I just want to get the context clear. So we are.
Oops. Is my screen being shared? I think I lost connection.
We're looking at.
We can.
I guess able to see your screen.
We could see.
You could see? I think I lost the sound for a minute there. What were you saying, Sindhu?
I was asking, is there a homework that needs to be done, or how is it? Because I missed out on all the other sessions. So
No, there's no homework.
there's no homework.
There's no
Okay.
homework.
Thank you.
I mean, you can watch the previous ones to kind of update yourself at some point if you want to, but there's nothing to do as such.
Okay. Okay. And where are we? Where are we in this?
So
journey?
out of 17 videos, we have finished 13. We have just started the 14th.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
So there is this book actually. So this workshop that Baba took, it's an introductory workshop that he himself took. That was recorded. And then that recording of that was transcribed and turned into this book called Jeevan Vidya An Parichay.
Oh, okay. 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 Got it.
So-
Got it. The 3 hours lectures, 3-day lectures. 3-day lectures that he gave.
10 days.
This is 10 days, kya? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know whether he used to take 10-day workshops. This seems like several days. I didn't actually count. I'm guessing because he used to take 10-day workshops, this was also the 10-day workshop.
Okay. Okay. So the essence of all his speeches are made into a book, and we are trying to look at the video itself and interpret it.
Yeah. In fact, the whole workshop was just transcribed and only some bits were edited out. The rest was completely transcribed and turned into that book.
Okay. Okay.
So Manjuji had wanted to do the actual video sessions because she wanted to see how he was saying it. And that is how we started doing it. But it's in Hindi. And so he speaks a little, then I pause and I interpret on the spot. And then we move on unless there's some question.
Sure.
Okay, I think. All right, let's start. So we were on this section. So there have been 3 parts. One in the last few sessions. The first video was on explanation on what justice is. That was a whole session. Then there was a session on what dharma or order is, which was the one we just finished last time. And then we had just started this session on truth, what truth is. And in that context, we had talked a bit about the title of this one was Anubhav and Acharan. So which is translated as Anubhav is the ultimate experience or realization and Acharan is conduct. So we had talked about how that relates to truth. And we had just started out on this section. So I'll rewind a little bit and then start.
आदमी इस प्रकार से यदि कर्म करके धरती को मनुष्य के आवास योग्य ना रह जाए, इसको बनाना ही यदि विकास समझता है, इससे अच्छे अक्कल की पत्थर क्या हो सकता है?
Oh yeah. So we were talking about what we have thought of as development up till now. So you're saying we have been considering those who do the most damage and most destruction to be the most developed. So if humankind continues to think of such people who do the maximum damage and such nations to be the most advanced and most developed, then what can be more foolhardy than that?
तो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मनुष्य जो इस प्रकार की अड़चन पैदा करने वाले आदमी, देश और समुदाय को हम विकसित मानते हैं, ये इसमें भी सोचने की मुद्दा है.
That same thing. That is what we consider. Such people are the ones we consider most developed. So that is worth thinking about.
तो जहाँ हम पहुँचे हैं उसमें ये तो बात उजागर हो चुकी, हम अपने ही करतूतों से फंस चुके.
So where we have reached till now, this much has become quite evident that we have become so stuck thanks to our own actions.
फंसने की बात छूटने की आवश्यकता, छूटने की अवस्था के मुद्दा में अभी प्रस्ताव.
And now after this getting stuck, now there is the issue of freeing ourselves. And that is what this proposal is about.
आ चुकी आपके सम्मुख, इस पर विचार करने की आवश्यकता है. तो आप में आपकी सौजन्यता उसका आधार है. आपकी सौजन्यता होती है, शेष है या बना हुआ है, उस स्थिति में आप विचार करेंगे.
So that is what this proposal is for, which is all thanks to what this proposal is for, that I am presenting before you, and I'm able to present this before you thanks to your Saujanyata is more like the good company that you are keeping. So you're participating here with welcome, with a feeling of welcome and openness. So it is thanks to this feeling of your openness that we can think about this proposal of freeing ourselves from the trap we have put ourselves in. And if your openness remains, and if it continues to remain in this way, then we can continue to think about this proposal.
सौजन्यता यदि शेष नहीं है और आप नहीं कर सकते हैं, ये अच्छी बात है. और कोई करेगा, आप नहीं करिए.
But if your openness has come to an end, and if you cannot think about this anymore, then also it's fine. That's all right. You won't think about it, someone else will think about it.
ऐसा भी होता है. इस विधि से हम निष्कर्ष में आते हैं, मनुष्य अपने स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से शुभ अशुभ प्रवृत्तियों में दौड़ता है.
So in this way we reach the conclusion that humans move towards desirable and undesirable tendencies based on their own actions.
अपने स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से शुभ अशुभ प्रवृत्तियों में दौड़ता है. मेरे अनुसार शुभ प्रवृत्ति की ओर दौड़ने के रास्ता ना होने के फलस्वरूप अशुभ की ओर दौड़ता है, ऐसा मेरा निष्कर्ष है.
And according to me, it is when there is no way for him to move towards the desirable action, that the desirable tendency, that he ends up moving towards the undesirable tendency. That is, at least that is my conclusion. Instead of desirable, undesirable, we can also say good and bad. So he moves towards the bad tendencies only when he finds no way of moving towards the good.
अभी इसको आजमाने की एक अवसर आ गया है.
So now we have been presented with the opportunity to test this conclusion out. The conclusion that if given the option, we do move towards the desirable tendencies.
इसमें शुभ के ओर दौड़ने का जो प्रस्ताव है, यह स्वयं इसको जांचने का एक तरीका है. अभी तक तो अपने पास.
So this proposal that I am presenting is a way to move towards the positive, the good tendencies, and it becomes the way for us to test out this conclusion of mine.
सर्वशुभ के ओर दौड़ने का कोई प्रस्ताव थी नहीं है. ये अच्छा रहा, मनुष्य उन जैसा बना वैसा दौड़ता रहा.
Since there was no proposal for moving towards universal well-being up till now, Therefore, humans kept running towards the kind of tendencies that they could move towards. Now that we do have the proposal of moving towards universal well-being, now we can test out my conclusion.
आज सर्वशुभ की ओर दौड़ने के लिए एक प्रस्ताव तो आपके सम्मुख आ चुकी, सूचना के रूप में तो आ चुकी, छोटा रूप में तो आ चुकी, भनक तो पड़ी, इतना तो बात हुई है.
So now this proposal of moving towards universal well-being is, at least now it is there present before you. At least it's there in the form of some sort of information now. At least you have got some sort of gist of it till now, some sort of inkling of it at least till now. So that much at least has been achieved.
इसमें कोई खामी नहीं होना चाहिए. और भनक पड़ने के बाद आपका जिज्ञासा है, उसमें आप पारंगत होने के लिए, उसमें आप प्रौढ़ होने के लिए आप में कितना जिज्ञासा है, ये भी आजमाने का अवसर मेरे लिए मिल चुकी है.
So now that you have gotten a gist of this proposal for universal well-being, now if you have the curiosity, then you have the opportunity. Then I see this as an opportunity for you to try and test it out, try and pursue this. I need to listen to exactly what it is.
ना जिज्ञासा है, ये भी आजमाने का अवसर मेरे लिए मिल चुकी है.
So now that you have the curiosity, it is now an opportunity for me to test out this hypothesis, at least for me. So he's saying, I have given you this proposal of universal well-being, and you seem to have some curiosity for it. And for me, therefore, this becomes an opportunity to test out my hypothesis, my conclusion, that when humans have the option to move towards goodness, then they do try to move towards it. It's when they have no such option that they resort to moving towards the negative, the bad tendencies, the lacking tendencies.
इसी अवसर के चलते ये प्रयास है आपके सम्मुख इस प्रस्ताव को रखने का.
And it is in context of such an opportunity that I am attempting to present this proposal before you.
ये तो बात एक हट है. इससे क्या हम यहाँ पहुंचे, मानव धर्म एक ही होता है.
So this is one milestone. So now where have we reached? That human dharma is one. Now I was wondering if I should actually talk about this. We've been saying human dharma, and dharma is a difficult word to translate usually, but then I realized usually it's translated as religion. And so he's saying essentially human religion is one. And right now what we think of as religion and dharma and all that is very different. They're about certain types of faiths and following. But originally both these words, religion as well as dharma, as well as words in other languages used for religion. So for instance, in Urdu, you use the word deen. All of these didn't mean something like what we understand as religion today. All of these were words used to signify just the concept of law or rules. This is the way things work. So religion, initially, it also comes from obligation or being tied down or rules or structure. Even religion meant that originally. Dharma also meant, as we still know, dharma used to mean law or custom as well. The Urdu word deen also meant rules or law or custom. So what he's saying is all this concept of religion, of what is the way of living, that is the same for all humans. So you could say that he's saying human religion is one.
जैसा गाय का धर्म, घोड़ा का धर्म, बिल्ली का धर्म, ठीक है वो.
So for instance, the religion of a cow, the religion of a horse, of a sheep, of a cat. So in that way, the religion of human beings is also one. Now I'm just going to use religion because it's better to use that instead of using a Hindi word in translation.
ऐसा नहीं होता है मानव में. मानव का धर्म एक ही होता है.
So like
Krishna, can you use the word dharma even in the English translation, because religion can be quite putting off.
It does put us off because we've forgotten what it used to mean originally. So I can continue using dharma, but
because I think now dharma you can say in English. Because everybody now in the world knows dharma and all that, you know.
Can do. But it's,
but the tip, and like you can bring it up again and again in between this. Because if I was listening to this and I picked up this, so let me see how it sounds. And if I came across this religion is one and all, I'd say, my God.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, even dharma was thought of as religion only until we started going back to the original meaning, even in Hindi.
But when you say dharma, then you know you're saying it for another language, then it sounds okay. It doesn't sound religion.
Okay.
To my thinking, but may not be like correct. I don't know.
No, we can go either way. This is just about etymology. I just feel like every language has the capacity to express the same concept. So as long as we have the right understanding for what that word signifies. So I just wanted to just convey that the word exists for dharma, exists in English also. Abhi it's used in different ways. It needs to be placed back in its right position. But since it isn't, we won't use that for now. I just wanted to mention it once. So I can go back to using dharma.
If you feel like, otherwise if you're more comfortable, you see for yourself.
I'm comfortable either way. I can also use order, but
order is not bad.
Yeah, but I think I'll stick to dharma. Maybe that's closer to the word he used. So yeah, he's saying so. As you can see there, that there is a dharma of a cow, dharma of a we've thought of this dharma of a cow, of a horse, of a sheep, of a cat. There is no such thing. There is only one dharma of the human being.
मानव में मानव का धर्म एक ही होता है, ठीक है। बिल्ली की व्यवस्था अलग है, कुत्ते की व्यवस्था अलग है, गधे की व्यवस्था अलग है, घोड़े की व्यवस्था अलग है, उसका रहन सहन, उसके अनुसार आचरण वो अलग अलग।
So the order of the system of a cat is different, the order of a dog is different, the order of a cow is different, their lifestyle is different, their way of living is different.
वो अलग अलग दिखते हैं,
and they look very different.
तो ये बात मनुष्य में होता है, मानवतापूर्ण आचरण एक ही होता है.
So this is not something that you find in human beings. Humane conduct is singular. So he's saying, he's contrasting with the animal world and the animal order. In the animal order, you find different types of lifestyles and conducts among different species of animals. But he's saying in humankind, all humans have the same conduct and they have the same dharma.
चाहे काले आदमी हो, चाहे गोरे आदमी हो, चाहे ऊंचे हो, ठेंगने हो, मोटे हो, दुबले हो, कैसे भी स्थिति में हो, आदमी.
Be it someone who is a black human being, a white human being, a tall human being, a short one, diagonal one, any kind of human being basically, all human beings will have the same dharma, same conduct.
यदि मानवतापूर्ण आचरण होता है, यही होता है जिसको पहले आपको बता चुके हैं.
If any of them would have humane conduct, all of them would then have the same kind of humane conduct which we have already talked about.
तो मानवतापूर्ण आचरण का स्वरूप स्वधन, स्वनारी, स्वपुरुष, दयापूर्ण कार्य व्यवहार के रूप में ही होता है, जिसको हम चरित्र कहते हैं.
So this humane conduct basically exists as righteous wealth, righteous spouse, and kind work and behavior, which altogether we refer to as character, good character, humane character.
मूल्य उसको कहते हैं संबंधों का पहचान, मूल्यों का निर्वाह और मूल्यांकन, उभय तृप्ति. ये मिलने की स्थिति में मूल्य निर्वाह हुआ है, ये मैं समझा हूँ.
And what we call values are basically recognition, identifying relationships, living out the inherent values, mutual evaluation, and mutual fulfillment. So when all of these four happen, that is when we say that values have been lived out. And what did you say at the end?
ये मिलने की स्थिति में मूल्य निर्वाह हुआ है, ये मैं समझा हूँ.
This is how I have understood it.
और ऐसा मैं स्वयं जीता हूँ. तीसरे विधि में हम नैतिक तभी होते हैं हमारे.
And this is how I live myself. And in the third way, there is also ethics.
तन मन धन रूपी अर्थ को सदुपयोग करता हूँ और सुरक्षा करता हूँ, उसी स्थिति में हम नैतिक मानव हो.
So there, I also live with ethics in which I do the right utilization and protection of my resources, that is my body, my mind, and my wealth. And so yeah, the protection and right utilization of my body, mind, and wealth is ethics.
उपयोग करता हूँ और सुरक्षा करता हूँ, उसी स्थिति में हम नैतिक मानव हो.
And in that way, I am an ethical human. So here he has described humane conduct. Humane conduct is a 3-point formula of values, character, and ethics. So values he is described as justice, identifying relationships, and then living out the values, mutual evaluation and fulfillment. Then he talked about character, which was righteous wealth, spouse, and kind work and behavior. And then he talked about ethics, which was the right utilization and preservation or protection of our resources.
इस ढंग से हम नैतिक मानव, मूल्य मानव और चरित्र मानव, यह इस तीनों मिल करके मानवीय आचरण संपन्न मानव.
In this way, I am an ethical human, a human with character, and a human with values. And in this way, I am a human being endowed with all three of these. And in that respect, I am a human being with humane conduct. So you think for humane conduct, you have to have these three: values, character, and ethics.
बनता है. ये व्यवस्था में जीने के लिए यही आचरण आधार है.
And this conduct is the only basis for living in orderliness.
इसी आचरण को, यही सूत्र है मनुष्य का. इस आचरण को सभी जगह में, जैसा परिवार में और समाज में, व्यवस्था में, और इसमें व्यवसाय में अर्थात उत्पादन कार्य में, और जंगल के साथ, धरती के साथ, पानी के साथ, पत्थर के साथ, सबके साथ हमारा इस आचरण को व्याख्यायित करने पर मानवीय आचार संहिता अपने आप में हमें कर्तव्यगत हुई.
And it is on an elaboration of this very conduct, within myself, my family, in society, in realm of production, in the realm of living with nature, with the birds and animals and trees and the planet. In elaboration in all of these spheres, that I have also been able to, you could say, elucidate the Manviya Acharan Samhita is a compendium of human conduct, or also he is also called it the human constitution.
मानवीय आचरण ही है जो राष्ट्रीय चरित्र के रूप में वैभवित हो सकता है.
It is only humane conduct that can be manifested as a national character.
और कोई चीज राष्ट्रीय चरित्र के रूप में वैभवित होने की और कोई सूत्र हो नहीं सकती.
No other thing can become the principle for manifesting as national character, because we cannot be united in any other character. This is the natural, universal human conduct. Therefore, we can all be united in behaving in this way. We can all be identical in this way. And therefore, if we think of the nation as the planet, the global nation, then this can be the national character of humankind. That was one of the questions he started out.
और कुछ भी विगत में हम धार्मिक राजनीति के बारे में सोच चुके, वो पराभवित हो चुके। अभी आर्थिक राजनीति के बारे में सभी समर्पित हैं, ये भी पराभवित हुए हैं।
So besides this, all that we have thought about in the past, we have thought about religious politics, that too has seen a decline and it has come to an end. After that, we have thought about an economic politics, an economy-based politics, and that too is also seeing its own decline and end.
पराभवित हो चुके हैं। तो दोनों विधि से हम पराभूत हो चुके हैं। अपने को कहीं ना कहीं विकल्प को खोजना ही पड़ेगा। वो परिस्थितियां समीचीन हो ही रहा है।
So in both ways, we have seen defeat. Basically, the religious politics has been defeated, and so is the economic politics that is seeing defeat. So we have seen defeat in both ways. So we naturally need to find an alternative in some way or the other. And the circumstances for that are becoming more and more conducive. And maybe we should pause here now since it's past 4. We can continue tomorrow. We can, if there are any thoughts or sharings before that.
I don't know. I just want to know, you told me that 3 things are value, character, and ethics. What is this? 3 what?
So if you look at the title of humane conduct, if you were to ask, okay, what is humane conduct? Humane conduct is living with human values, human character, and human ethics.
And then they lead to, and each thing leads to what all?
So then the question is, okay, what are human values? Human values are basically living with justice, and that he already described, some which you recognize relationships, they all have inherent values, you live out those inherent values, then you mutually evaluate whether they have been lived or not, and then based on that mutual evaluation, there is mutual fulfillment. So this living of justice is humane value, right? Then there was character and ethics, which he just described.
Okay, let me write living. Then character.
Yeah, like he just described character, these 3 points of righteous wealth, righteous spouse, and kind work and behavior. These 3 points are good character.
Righteous wealth, righteous spouse, and
kindness, basically. Kind work and behavior. Kindness with non-human nature is called kind work, and kindness with other humans is called kind behavior.
What? Say it again. What is called kind work?
That's okay. We'll go over it again and again. Work basically is with the rest of nature, and behavior is with humans.
With humans. Okay.
Yeah.
Ethics mein kya tha?
Ethics is right utilization and protection of resources. And the only resources that we have are our body, our mind, and our wealth, the material resource.
Thank you.
So this also connects to what we were talking about initially. We can always start the right utilization of whatever resources we do have, and the right protection of those resources also. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
I think for me, it keeps striking me every time how it would only make sense for like a human tradition to be universal. Like there's been so much variation in history of different cultures, different pockets. Having many similarities which show that we have a similar leaning, but yet differences. Actually, but it somehow makes sense that if we want harmony, we want to get along, we want to be able to understand each other and see where we're coming from, then it has to be something that is universally wanted, desired, acceptable, and is the only way it can work. So I just find that striking again somehow. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also the heft of the point he was making right now on universal well-being. And universal well-being is only possible when we are all universally directed towards that, in agreement with what that is. If I think something is universal well-being, but you don't think that that is universal well-being, then that is certainly not universal well-being, which has been attempted earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's saying that it is possible,
Mm.
which is quite significant. It's a good point to
Yeah.
think about. Okay, so
Okay,
if there's nothing else, then let's meet tomorrow.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Drishta. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.